Welcome to the Euro 2020 betting show from the Action Network.
Welcome back to the Action Network's Euro 2020 betting preview show. I'm Michael Leboff, the soccer editor here at Action Network, and I'm joined by BJ Cunningham of beautiful Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and Anthony DeBundo of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And guys, we are getting to the business end of the group stage. And I got to say, Tuesday's 3 p.m. kickoff, we'll call it the headliner of the two 3 p.m. kickoffs. Obviously, there are two of them. England and Czech Republic could send one nation into full-blown panic mode. That would be England, who open near minus 200 favorites. The Czechs are big underdogs for this match, near 8-1 at the moment, and the draw sitting around plus 280. I got to say, I actually think there's a path to success for the Czechs to at least get a point here. We've seen England, they're a mess going forward, which was not what we thought, right? The question about this team was, will they be able to defend well enough to make their goals that they were hypothetically going to create with their attack force stand up? The defense has done its part. The attack has not. They've created an average of 1.6 expected goals per match, which not that great considering their opposition. They've only scored once. They were just held to a 0-0 draw against Scotland. There's a ton of pressure on not just the manager, Gareth Southgate, but Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish. Like everybody involved in that attack force and getting it right is under a ton of pressure right now. And I think the Czechs, because they only need a draw, are going to sit back. They're going to play a low block, and they're going to try to hit England on the counter, which frankly would suit England better if that was the way they played, right? They're much better going forward with their speed, with those guys like Sterling and Foden if he plays. Grealish, Kane, whoever off the rush, trying to counter, but that's not going to set up. This team is going to be like a half court offense for the whole game. We just saw them struggle to get one by Scotland. I know that England probably deserved better from that game, but they didn't get it. And now all this pressure is on them. And I've been impressed with the Czechs. Like they played a good game against Croatia. They basically shut that offense down. I think there is a path to success in what projects to be a low event game, right? The total's at 2.25 goals with the under at the moment slightly juiced. Like it's basically a pick 'em. So bookmakers are going to see seeing a low event game. I think that this game is going to be decided by a moment of magic or a moment of luck here or there. So I think getting 5-1 on or better on the Czechs on the draw no bet line is just a great bet. Not only is it going to be fun to be part of that ride, the England panic ride, but I think there's good value there. Anthony, what do you think?
Yeah, England's first two games weren't all that different when you look at kind of the numbers and kind of the expected goals and the pass into the penalty area. They controlled most of both. And the reality was that Sterling scored a goal the one time, and in the second game, Mount missed a big chance and Stones hit one off the post. So that's just kind of how, it's so results based. When you look at England, my perception of England hasn't really changed much. I think they're going to play Rice and Phillips in the midfield again, which should be able to handle the pressing that you might see from the Czech Republic. They were pretty effective in that one. For me, this is a stay away. I've got an England over 6.5 points at minus 130 that I'm sitting on. So not going to double down on England there because they're about minus 170 on the money line now. So pass for me, but I definitely see a world where England is a little underrated after a pretty solid performance against Scotland that maybe didn't have as much attack as the people wanted, but they were still fine and weren't really ever looking like conceding.
Yeah, I mean, they were basically joint tournament favorites coming into this competition with France, and now they're around fifth. They're like 8.5-1, 9-1, depending on where you're getting your number. So in my mind, like, do I trust England on a one-game sample? The answer is no, but yeah, it's probably not a bad opportunity, especially if they don't get a good result in this match to buy low on them going forward, because they do definitely have the talent to still win this tournament, and things could turn around for them. BJ, do you trust the English?
Kind of. I'm actually genuinely interested to see what England comes out as far as the lineup is concerned, or just what their mentality coming into this game is, because if you're looking at the game theory point of view, England has basically two options. They finish first, they get a home match at Wembley against second place in the group of death, which is going to be either Portugal, France, or Germany, which is not great. If they finish second, they're going to play second place in Group E, which most likely looks like it's going to be either Sweden or Spain right now. So do they just take the home game against second place in Group F, or do they maybe try and get a draw here? Because if a draw gives the Czechs the group because of goal differential. Now, I'm actually going to be looking at England in the first half here. They actually came out on the front foot and were the better team against Scotland for the first 30 minutes of that game. 1.31 of their 1.67 expected goals were created in the first 30 minutes of that match. And I think we're going to see something similar because, like you said, Michael, the Czechs are obviously going to come out very defensive, and maybe as the game gets along, they'll try to counter and press forward a little bit. But I think England will have them pinned in for most of the first half. So I'm actually going to take the English here in the first half at anything plus money or better, because I honestly think that they're just going to control the game and have a ton of chances early on, and actually, have the Czechs pinned in. So yeah, I like England first half, anything plus money.
And this is a great spot for a live under too, if there is an early goal. If England or the Czechs get up, I like the live under there. Probably we'll see a 3 pop if it's within the first 25 minutes. We'll be taking that.
All right, so we'll move on from a game where it suits both teams basically to draw to a game that is must win for both teams, Croatia and Scotland. Croatia right now a lukewarm favorite, around plus 123. Scotland better than 2-1. The draw near 3-1. Obviously, Billy Gilmore, the Billy Gilmore news, he's tested positive for coronavirus. He's very important to Scotland. He won't be playing, but I mean, it's not been that impressive. Nothing's really been impressive from Croatia to start, right? Even the 1-1 draw, like they clawed back into that match, and then all of a sudden decided, no, the draw suits us, and they basically sat back. That was a pretty boring second half, and obviously their first game against England was pretty dismal from this team. It seems like they've run out of steam since their World Cup final run in 2018. I mean, even when you look back at that team, they needed a shootout win against Russia to advance the semifinals, and came back against England after England basically coughed up a 1-0 lead. So I think that it's basically Scotland or nothing for me because of the number, but I don't really think a lot of people will be going that direction in this match. Just because of the Billy Gilmore news and the preconceived notion that Croatia is a much better team than Scotland. Anthony, what do you think?
Yeah, I lean towards Scotland here. Plus 128 on the draw no bet line is definitely intriguing to me. They are playing at home, which is underrated. Croatia's attack, they have the third fewest expected goals in this tournament. Only Slovakia and Hungary have fewer. There's just not a ton of shots in this team. We saw Perisic got through and hit a nice little finish into the side netting against the Czechs, but they had almost no threat against England and very little threat against the Czechs otherwise for majority of that game. And I think that when you look at this Croatia team, if you can't trust them to score, I think there's a real possibility that Scotland will break through. Scotland hasn't scored. They're the only team in the tournament that hasn't scored yet. But 2.9 expected goals. Lyndon Dykes has had his chances. Che Adams has had his chances. They've created opportunities to score, and the goals tend to come when that's the case. For me, Croatia looked really vulnerable on the wings at certain points of their matches, both of their matches, when England and Croatia were able to get it out, or Czech Republic were able to get it out there. For me, I think that's the possibility where a guy like Andy Robertson or Kieran Tierney getting forward can really exploit this back line. So for me, that's where I'm looking. Scotland draw no bet plus 128.
Yeah, BJ, sounds like both of us are going to be riding with the Tartan Army. What about you?
Yeah, I'll hop on the wagon there. I actually love Scotland on the money line here, basically just because, both teams really need to actually win the match. So I think there actually is a lot of value in taking the money line here. Croatia, they looked horrible going forward, and they have all tournament. And I think, like you said before after their first match, Michael, they look like they've played a whole tournament before coming into this. They just look old. They look slow. They're getting basically caught back defensively. They're attacking midfielders of Modric and Kovacic and all those guys. They haven't really been able to get forward and create chances. Against the Czech Republic, only 20% of their touches came in the final third. Rebic doesn't look like a goal-scoring threat at all up front. I think he's only got 1 goal in his last 22 appearances for Croatia. And the Scotland side, honestly, they looked much improved against England. And with the addition of Tierney in there on that back line and moving McTominay to the back line in their 3-5-2, it actually looked a lot more cohesive once they sustained the first 30 minutes of England pressure. And Che Adams makes a huge difference. He's clearly the best striker that Scotland has, and he had a couple chances there. And even the final 60 minutes against England, they only allowed England to create 0.36 expected goals. So like Anthony said, this match is going to be played in Glasgow. So I love Scotland here along with you guys. And yeah, I'm going to take them anything plus 200 or better.
So there you have it. Be sure to keep checking in with us here at the Euro 2020 Action Network betting preview show. For Anthony and BJ, I'm Michael Leboff.
For all the updated information on the Euros, go to the actionnetwork.com and download the Action Network app and enjoy the games.